Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to How to Grow Your Business in 1 Hour per Day. I'm McKenna Sage. I am the co-founder and CEO of Follow Your Aliveness and the Mastery of Coaching Facebook group, where you are probably watching this video, unless you're watching it later on YouTube or Instagram. So welcome, welcome. And if you're joining live, go ahead and type in the chat and let me know where you're tuning in from. I would love to make sure you can see and hear me, and we're all set here technically. And today's topic is a really important one because a lot of times I hear from people that, there's the two biggest challenges in, I guess, life, business, whatever you want to call it, that I hear about are time and money. And today, a lot of people are talking about time when it comes to or sorry, about money when it comes to how do you make more money and, grow your business. But there aren't that many people talking about the time side. And this is so important because I talk to a lot of, coaches, entrepreneurs, people who want to start a business who feel like I'm just so busy. Or maybe you've even started your business already and you're feeling the same way. Like, I still don't have time to do everything I need to do. So that's what we're going to be talking about today is how do you essentially, instead of creating, more time, which we have a finite number of hours in the day, how do you use the time that you have more effectively to really get the results that you want? So, I'm curious whether you're here live or watching the replay. Go ahead and type in the chat and let me know, what stage are you in business right now? Do you have your business already? Are you still working a full-time job? Just give me a little bit of a sense of who's on with us here today, and that way I can tailor to all of you. So, as far as how to grow your business in 1 hour per day, this is so important again because most of the people that I talk to are growing their businesses while they either have a full-time job or another business or something, or they're raising kids. They've got something that's taking up the large majority of their time and energy. And so if you relate to that, you're in the right place. And that was me as well when I started my coaching business. So I've been an entrepreneur for over 10 years now. But when I started my coaching business about 4.5 years ago, I was running a full-time business already. And I could not see how I was going to be able to make the shift. And I tried the whole, quit my business and just start, put my full attention on coaching. And I failed miserably. I got one client who wasn't paying me very much money, and I had to go back to my marketing business, and I was super embarrassed. Embarrassed, discouraged. It was not pretty. And a lot of times I hear from people, they think that's what they need to do is like, I'm going to save up a certain amount of money, I'm going to quit my job, and then I'm going to start my business. If any of you have ever felt that way, like that's the path to take, say, I'm with you in the chat. All right. So a lot of times people think that's the way to go. But the challenge with that is you're coming from a standstill. You're coming from a standstill and trying to build momentum out of nowhere. And momentum takes time to build. And you have to learn the practice and build the muscles of growing your business. And so instead, once I got mentorship and support to really see the path forward, I ended up starting my coaching business while I was still running my other business and slowly transitioning. I always say it's not a leap, it's a transition. So just write that down if you're watching this. It's not a leap, it's a transition. If you are still making the shift into your business full time. Hi, Helena. Nice to see you. Great to have you here. So, and if you're already in your business full time, again, then we're just going to talk about how do you prioritize and make space. But I do want to mention this because a lot of people I talk to are making that transition again, that it does take building up slowly on the side. But what happens is we start building and then we get distracted by a million different things. Who feels like you have just a billion things on your to-do list and you're always getting distracted and you're not sure what to focus on? If so, type distracted in the chat. And so in that, what happens there is we're busy, but we're not actually moving the needle forward on the things that are going to get us results, right? You ever feel that way? So instead of the busyness, I want you to think about what's going to move the needle forward. But before we even get to that, we need to talk about what motivates you. What motivates you? What drives you to get results in your business? And there's a couple different things I want to talk about here. One is, are you doing the things in your life and in your business, but mainly in your life, that bring you alive? And Helena, you know about this because you're going through our certification program, right? And so we talk a lot about aliveness, and aliveness isn't like just, oh, what you're passionate and, super amped up about. It's what feeds your energy, right? And pick one thing and add it into your life. So like for Helena, what's something that feeds your energy, that feeds your energy, and maybe you haven't been doing as much lately? Because you need to have that energy and that aliveness to then pour into your business. Otherwise, you're pouring from an empty tank, right? You're trying to put out all this energy, but your tank is empty. So we want to fill your tank first. So think of one thing, if you're watching this, and type it in the chat. What's one thing you can do? And I'm not talking about self-care here. Self-care is different. We always say self-care people talk about a lot, but then they go get their nails done or they go get a massage, and that's great. But for many people, that doesn't actually fill them with energy. Do you get the distinction there? So I want you to really notice, what is that for you? So Helena, anybody else watching live, go ahead and tell me in the chat, what is something that makes you feel like you forget about time, you feel more like yourself, you feel more peaceful, more energized when you do it? What's one thing? So Helena says shine, dance, and singing. Great. So then I would say, Helena, is make sure that you are either dancing or singing on a daily basis. Even if it's a short, or you go to a dance class once a week, or right, that you have some sort of outlet for that on a regular basis, because that's going to start to build energy, which will start to build desire. Next, once you have, some kind of activity like that you're doing on a regular basis to fill that cup of aliveness, that tank of aliveness, then you want to look and see, what do you want? What's something you're really excited about out in the future that you're growing your business is going to help you achieve or do or be able to do? So for some people, it might be I really want to travel, and I want to go on this amazing trip next year. So that could be the thing that's pulling you forward, that's driving you to create the results in your business so that you can go on that trip, right? Or it might be something within your business, like I really want to be on stages speaking. And, one of our clients, her motivator in the World Changer Quiz, which some of you may have taken. If you haven't taken it, it's worldchangerquiz.com. It's free, and it's our free quiz to tell you what's your talent in life and also in business or career, and what's your success motivator. Her success motivator is shine. And so when we started working with her, she's in one of our programs, we said, it's great to go for your business and for earning, but we need to go for something too that connects your motivator, right? And for her, that is shine. And so she really saw getting on stages as something she's really excited about, and probably also getting on the front of a magazine. And so she's making her game around her business around getting on 2 stages per month, or at least booking 2 stages per month where she can go and speak or present for a group. And that's a great way to grow her business, and it also feeds her energy because that's something that really inspires and lights her up. So you want to look and see, what do you want? What is something that pulls you forward that can be the motivation for creating the results in your business? Now, I know most of you watching this are probably going, well, what are we talking about here? Because we're not talking about time, and we're not talking about time management. I thought we were going to talk about growing my business in an hour per day. And we are. But these pieces are what get overlooked so much of the time, because here's the thing. It's not that you don't have enough time in your day. And a lot of you are going to push back on this, and I would be the queen of that, because I am the queen of just overbooking myself, right? Or at least I was in the past. I'm getting better. But in that, it's like, think about how much time do you spend scrolling on social media? Be honest with yourself, right? If you add up all the time throughout the day that you're, you know, when you wake up in the morning or before you go to bed at night or while you're standing in line somewhere, how much time do you think that adds up to? You might even turn on that feature on your iPhone if you have one that tells you how much time you're spending on your phone every day. And you'd be amazed. That adds up. It's probably, for most people, at least 30 minutes to an hour a day, if not more, right? So if you tell me I don't have enough time, I'm going to say, what about all the time you're spending scrolling on social media, right? And I fall into that too. What about watching TV or movies or something online or listening to podcasts? Is that actively growing your business? No, I'm not saying you shouldn't be doing those things. You can absolutely be doing them too. But when someone says to me, I don't have the time, I say, let's look at all of those. And those probably for many people add up to at least a couple hours a day. Now, it may be less for you, it may be more for you. I don't know. But really, if we look at that overall, everyone I know can find 30 minutes to an hour a day to really move their business forward. But so why don't we? Why don't we? That's what we're talking about right now is pouring from an empty tank is one reason, right? Not doing the things that fill you with energy and aliveness. And then second is not having a vision that pulls you forward, right? Helena says, to be honest, I'm probably on social media at least 2 hours every day. Yeah, so what if you cut that out? And I've made rules with myself at times that I'm only allowed to go on social media if I'm posting or if I am like replying to messages or something like that. I'm not allowed to scroll at all. And if you're on, if you ever get on Facebook and scroll, there's for your a computer anyway, there's a plugin called Newsfeed Eradicator where you can actually delete your newsfeed from your view and only see the other things. And you can just put Facebook Messenger on your phone and not have Instagram. Unfortunately, doesn't have that capability, but I've created all kinds of little tricks for myself over time. And I'll go through phases where I go on a social media cleanse and I don't absorb any social media. I only go on to, if I'm going to specifically watch a video or something like this, great, you're educating yourself, you're working towards your business here. But other than that, I don't sit there and scroll, right? And I only go on to create content or to engage with people in the chat. Julie says, awesome. Yeah, nice to see you, Julie. So going back to, and if you missed the beginning, I highly recommend going back and watching the beginning of this video because this all ties together. Because we're talking about, it's not about time management. It's not about not having enough time in the day for most people. It's about having the inspiration and the motivation to do what needs to be done to grow your business. And then it's about having the clarity about what to actually do, which we'll talk about in a minute. So if you're not clear on a vision that really pulls you forward, then I highly encourage you to type clarity in the chat and I'll reach out to you because we do these free 30-minute coaching sessions. They're called clarity calls. And that's an incredible opportunity to really see more of the vision for what you want, what's going to pull you forward, and the next steps. So if you're curious about that, type clarity in the chat. And there's nothing for sale on that call. So and then the next piece here is, what are you committed to? So once you know your vision, if you have that vision that pulls you forward, are you actually committed to that vision? Because it's great to have a grandiose, oh, I'd love to have $1 million business by next year, but are you willing to do what that takes? Are you actually committed to it? And this is so much of the time is people just say things, but they don't actually think through what are you committed to, right? So when you have that vision, you have to see, what will I actually do? What will I hold myself accountable to? Or what will I go out and get a coach or support in some way to hold me accountable to go for this? Yeah. And that's so much of why people hire coaches, because ultimately most of us will not be accountable to ourselves. Have you ever noticed that? Like Helena, Julie, anybody else watching, that how much of the time when you say you're going to do something, do you follow through on it? Let's say you're going to do some kind of workout plan, right? And you're like, I'm going to do this for the next 3 months or whatever it is. do you actually follow through? Or do you do it for a couple weeks and then you kind of get distracted and then you go, oh, whatever, right? Or I'm gonna do this other one. So if you're not following through, then you have to look and see what is it going to take for you to follow through on what you said you're committed to. And a lot of times that takes getting support because we will be accountable to someone else where we won't to ourselves. And honestly, we often have to pay for that support in order to be accountable. And there's so many other reasons to get a coach. This is just one of them. But I highly encourage you, if you're not getting that kind of support and accountability, it's not enough for most people to have just like an accountability partner or someone in their life because maybe you've tried that and has it actually worked. So I'm getting a little off topic here, but I think that's an important point because if I look back for me, what ultimately made me go for it was getting that support and accountability. So we've covered, I'm trying to think, I had a point that I said before, what do you want, which was, oh, filling your tank, right? So we've covered filling your tank with what feeds your aliveness. We've covered what do you want? What's that vision that's going to pull you forward? And we've covered what are you actually committed to? If you're not committed to it, just take it off your list or take it off your list for now, right? And when people again have those grandiose dreams, I say let's drill this back to that's great. You can do that. I want you to dream big, but I want to drill this back to a vision or a goal that you will actually go for in the next year. And that's a lot of what we do in that clarity call, by the way, is really helping you see what is the vision or goal that you're really going to go for and commit to. And this clarity is so important because once you have it and once you see what it is you really want, then the energy and the inspiration and the motivation is there to do what needs to be done, to take the time. All right, everyone with me so far? So if you're with me, say with you. And the last thing I want to say before we actually get to like the 1 hour a day part is really looking at the cost of what if you don't do this. So the thing that you said that you are committed to doing or you want to do, your vision is like, what if you don't do it? So fast forward, and this was a big part of my aha moment when I really went for it with my coaching business, was a few years ago when someone walked me through this and they said, listen, if you don't go for this, if you don't go for this coaching business, if you just keep doing what you're doing in your other business and you keep going through life as it is, fast forward 2 years from now, what will your life be like? And I want you all who are watching me to really think about that. Whatever it is you want to do, if you don't do this, fast forward 2 years from now, what will your life be like? For some people, it's, oh, I'll have to go back and get a job, or oh, I'll, still be doing the same thing and I'll have lost a lot of trust in myself and, feel like I probably give up on my dreams. For me, it was if I don't go for it, I'll get really sick. I looked forward and saw my body was giving me signs that I couldn't keep going the way I was going. I needed to make a change. And that scared the living daylights out of me. And that ultimately was hugely the motivation that made me step over the edge and go for it. So I want you to be honest with yourself. If you don't go for it 2 years from now, what's your life going to be like? And if that's not enough, then go 5 years out. And I want you to really look deeply because we have to see what the inaction is costing us. Otherwise, so there's the desire, right? There's what we want, but there's also the what is it costing us to not go for it. So, 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 so important. And again, if you can't get to this on your own, then type clarity and book one of those clarity calls because I'll help you walk through this. And then, well, first of all, write in the chat if you saw something when I shared, even if you're watching the replay. Like if you just close your eyes and imagine for 1 minute, you took a deep breath, you fast forward 2 years into the future, and you haven't gone for it. You haven't made the time. You haven't gotten the support that you need. What is your life like? How do you feel? How do you talk to yourself? Are you like, oh, no worries, all good? Or are you like, kicking yourself? Man, I wish I would have gone for it. I wish I would have gotten that support. So go ahead and share in the chat if there's anything you see there. And again, it could be as small as kicking yourself, or it could be as big as mine, where I really saw that I would get very sick if I didn't do it. And that is another motivator, right? That is another reason to make this dream happen. So we've talked a lot about, filling your tank, about the energy and the motivation to go for it. Filling your tank, what do you want, that vision that's going to pull you forward? What are you actually committed to? And what is the cost if you don't do this? Shalon says, I think I was disappointed in myself in the future if I didn't. Julie said, I'd definitely be kicking myself. Yeah. So you want to dig in deeper. If that's all you see is a little disappointment, then maybe, is this really it? Because it needs to be that it really, have you dug deep enough into the impact of that disappointment? Or maybe you need to go 5 years out and really see. Otherwise, again, is it a strong enough pull to do what it needs to be done, right? All right, now let's get into the 1 hour a day part. So you've got to clear space for this. And I talked already about a couple of ways to start clearing space, right? Stop absorbing social media, or only absorb social media from a few people. Maybe you have certain people you follow that you really like their stuff and it inspires you and it motivates you. Give yourself, 10 minutes a day, or 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night, that you can go absorb their content. You can go look at just their profile and read what they've been doing, or look at their stories, or you can, check out what's going on in different groups or something like that. So give yourself a limit there, but apart from that, or take it out completely for a little while, only get on and create content, don't absorb content. That's one way. And clearing space, we have a whole process we lead about this, but I don't have time to go through it today. But basically looking at your whole list, like writing everything out and then getting rid of things that you can either get support with or that can wait until later, but really like putting pen to paper and clearing that space. And then the big thing is, like, a lot of times we think we need to clear all this stuff out, but again, it could just be as simple as taking out social media or taking out Netflix for a few weeks, right? You don't have to do it forever till you get in the habit and the practice of what we're going to talk about here. Helena says, I feel frustration. I'm filled with anger, resentment toward myself, and sadness that truly affect me both mentally and physically. Yeah, absolutely. So that's digging a little bit deeper there, right? And then it's to see what's the impact of that, right? If I was going to take you a level deeper, or take someone on a call, which I often do, a level deeper, I would say, great, then what's happening in your life as a result of that, right? How's your health? How are your relationships? How is it impacting all the other parts of your life when you feel that disappointment, or when you're kicking yourself, or whatever it is? All right, so when you're clear, I've got to go for this, right? I see where my life would be if I don't do this. I see the vision that's pulling me forward. And by the way, if you're not clear about any of that, then please type clarity in the chat. I'd love to support you. And the next thing is the 1 hour per day. And I call this your power hour. And Helena is familiar with this because she's in our program. And Julie, I know you just joined Package Your Wisdom. I don't know if I talk about power hours in there, so this will be new for you. A power hour is basically exactly what it sounds like. And you may have heard the concept before, but have you actually done it? So it's putting 1 hour per day in your calendar, at least 1 hour per weekday, right? If you don't want to do it on the weekends, fine, right? And if you can really only squeeze in 30 minutes, great. Do what you can, but I want you to pick an amount of time that you can actually commit to, right? And ideally, it's at least an hour per day if you really are serious about growing your business. Helena, shouldn't I show interest to also be interesting in regards to Facebook algorithms? Again, if you want to do that, spend 10 minutes a day doing that and do it strategically. Don't just get lost in the scrolling. So you can be strategic about that, but not be spending a bunch of time on there. Okay, so what was I going to say? Power hour. So 1 hour per day. And let's say you put this at your lunch break, or you put it right after you get done with work, but you have to commit to this. And the commitment comes through the motivation and the inspiration we talked about before. And what do you do in that power hour? Well, the power hour should be when you are moving the most important thing in your business forward. If you are already ready to be taking clients, then that is where you are outreaching, talking to people, you know, chatting with people on social media, setting up calls, setting up coffees, like moving outreach and sales forward for your business. It could also be posting, but I would say you don't want to get caught up in, you need to be spending at least half of that time, in my opinion, like actively outreaching. And this is not the time where you're actually doing the calls, right? You need to find some other time where you can do some calls each week or whatever. But this is the time where you're actively outreaching. I am constantly in a lot of conversations, right? Many of you watching this, whether you're watching it live or the replay, have been talking to me on social media, or you've been texting with me, or I reach out to you regularly and tell you, hey, I'm doing this video, or hey, I'm doing this, event. And that is to be of service first and foremost. I do local events, I do these videos, these are a give, but it's also that if the right people come to those events or watch these videos and may become curious about working together, right? And so it's a win for them and a win for me. And so I spend that time, I prioritize this above everything else in my to-do list. And this is what I want you guys to get. This has to become the number one priority. If I have text to respond to, or people I want to reach out to, or an event I'm trying to fill, or right, or I'm setting up calls, coffees, in our business programs, we teach a whole system for kind of filling your pipeline with connections to then lead to clients, and how do you lead them through that process. And if you're curious about that, again, Clarity Call is the best place to begin. We do a free coaching session, and then we see, are you curious about something else? And if so, you do a separate call about whatever program or whatever you're curious about. So in that, we teach a whole system around this, but hopefully, even if you haven't gone through any of our programs, you're actively in the outreaching, right? You're actively in the putting yourself out there, booking calls, booking coffees, having conversations, having sales calls, and moving your business forward. That is number one. Okay. Secondary would be anything that moves more momentum into that, which could be posting online, or the other thing is, like, if you're going for speeches, like the woman I talked about in our program, then she's spending her power hour reaching out for speeches. She's spending it, again, same thing, talking to people, sending them, replying to emails, like getting her speaker kit out there, and really actively moving on the most important thing in her business. And what I see people do with their power hour that I don't want you to do, the biggest mistake, is filling it with just like going through programs or watching podcasts. Or this is not the time to be educating yourself, your power hour. It's not the time to be, you shouldn't spend the whole time creating content for social media. It's not the time to be like researching, or what else do people do that keeps them busy in their business? Helena, what else pulls your attention or keeps you busy in your business? Or anyone who's watching right now, Julie, Shalone, anybody else? What do you find yourself getting busy with when it comes to your business? Paying bills, what else? Researching. So this isn't the time for that. You could be researching if you're researching places to go get on stages, and then you're actively reaching out to them. But again, the main thing with this time is that you are outreaching, connecting with people, setting up calls, setting up, emailing people, like that. Helena says, I have my first connection call with a potential client on Thursday. Amazing. Shalone says, admin stuff. I have to handle 10 to 13 accounts. In your business or in your job? I'm curious, Shalone. Admin stuff, if it's for your business, that needs to go in a different time, right? So you're going to have to find time for the admin, but I like to chunk time once a week or something where I do my admin. Or if it has to be daily, then that's your admin time, and then you have your power hour time. Julie says, research and education for sure. I can get lost in that easily. And that's one of the biggest ones. It's one of the biggest culprits I see, is that people spend so much time learning and absorbing and preparing, and right, and they don't actually get out there and start. And a lot of times there's fear behind this, or there's self-doubt behind that, or something like that, in which case, again, highly recommend getting a coach, getting support, because that is where you will be able to move through whatever it is that's keeping you from going for it. Shalom says, my business. Yes, I need to manage my time. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's so much to manage there, Shalom. It's just about blocking your time so that you have admin blocks and then you have active power hour outreach blocks. It's like if you just make sure you get that power hour in every day, then everything else has to fit in around that. And that's the main thing, you guys, is I look at my to-do list every day, which is a million miles long. I'm running a business here with employees and, team and lots of different programs. And I go, what is going to move the needle? And I do that first. I spend at least an hour, sometimes a lot more for me, focusing on that. And then anything else has to go in the time that I have left. You guys get that distinction? So it's just a shift in mindset. And here's the example we gave on a recent class, as we said, and Julie, I think you were on there, and Helena as well, is if someone said, if I would give you $1 million if you did your power hour every day for the next 3 months, would you do it? Would you find the time? Could you find the time? Type yes in the chat if you would. Helena says, working on limiting beliefs. I have also. Yeah, and there's a certain amount of working on it that happens, but Helena, I know you're in our program, you're getting a lot of support on that, and so there's also a point at which you just take the action, which is the point you're at now, right, with starting to really go for it and set up your calls. So Julie said absolutely she would do it, right? So that's how you have to think about it. If it's not that important to you, as though you would get $1 million at the end of 3 months, then are you, again, really committed? So you really have to look at that. And if not, then you need to see what needs to shift there to either get committed or to decide, hey, maybe this isn't actually what I want to do. And I want to be honest with myself about that. So I would love to know your biggest takeaway, those of you watching live, and if you have any last questions, because we're going to wrap up here in just a minute. And then just to say one more time, if you feel like you want support with this, I know, Julie, we've done a clarity call. I think you got a lot out of that. Helena as well. If there's anybody else watching live or on the replay, you're curious about getting support to really see that vision. What do you want? What's going to pull you forward? What will happen if you don't go for it? What are you really committed to? And so you can really see the next steps to take. Then type clarity in the chat. We do a free 30-minute coaching call I would love to offer to you. All right. Helena said, I remember that, and I would definitely still do it if I was given $1 million. So that's how you guys have to think about it. Helena, Julie, Shalon, anybody on here is imagine, make a game out of it. Give yourself a 90-day game. If you do this consistently for 90 days, your business will change. You will get results. And if you're not getting results at all, like if you're not even getting calls booked or whatever after at least 30 days, then again, you need to get coaching and support to see the way you're approaching it probably needs to change. So I would give yourself 90 days as a game because it takes time. But within 30 days, you should at least be getting, calls booked, people curious, enrollment calls, like stuff starting to move. And then by the end of 90 days, you should definitely be getting clients. And if you're not, then again, you really need to get support of some kind, whether it's with us or somebody else, to see there's some kind of missing piece or some kind of kink in the system that needs to be addressed for you to really get the results that you want. Julie says, I love the validation about social media and the newsfeed eradicator. Yeah, great tool. Fortunately, they don't have it for phone, but like I said, if you delete the Facebook app from your phone and you just do the messenger, and then if you want to post, you go on your computer to post, and you can have the newsfeed eradicator on there. For Instagram, I don't think there is one, unfortunately, that I'm aware of. So I don't know how that would work on Instagram. So I think that is it for today then. Thank you all for being here. Thanks to those of you who participated live and also on the replay. Really always appreciate the engagement. Makes it a lot more fun, and I get to, really customize it to you. So I will see you all next week. Best of luck with your power hours. Make sure you do all the steps we talked about today, though, not just the power hour, because otherwise you're going to put it on there and you're probably, you may do it for a little while, you may not. So you want to make sure you have everything else in alignment to really, really go for it. All right. I'll see you all next time. Thank you so much.